The 1950s were a golden age for American car design, with chrome, fins, and big V8s defining the decade's car culture. Not every car was a winner, though. Some cars suffered from poor engineering, awkward styling, or misguided ideas that made them embarrassing relics of their time. Here are 13 of the worst and dumbest American cars of the 1950s, each a cautionary tale about a decade of excess.
Dear viewer, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Thanks for your support.
Number 13. The 1955 Studebaker Commander was released during a tumultuous period for Studebaker. By the mid-1950s, the company was facing severe financial difficulties, and many of its models were seen as outdated compared to competitors from the Big Three: Ford, General Motors, and Chrysler. The Commander, once a successful model in Studebaker's lineup, was struggling to stay relevant in a rapidly changing automotive landscape. While it offered a respectable V8 engine, its shortcomings in performance, style, and reliability held it back. Although Studebaker had a history of producing innovative designs, especially with the bullet-nosed Commander from earlier years, the 1955 model failed to keep up with the flashy, chrome-heavy trends of the mid-1950s. Competing cars like the Chevrolet Bel Air or the Ford Fairlane featured more modern, sleek designs that made the Commander feel old-fashioned. The Commander's design lacked the flair that car buyers of the time were looking for. Its appearance was seen as conservative and understated, especially compared to more eye-catching models from larger automakers. While chrome was being used excessively by other manufacturers to give cars a futuristic and luxurious appearance, Studebaker's Commander had a more minimalistic approach, which made it look outdated and cheap. The 1955 Commander did offer a 4.2-liter, 259 cubic inch V8 engine, producing around 162 horsepower. While this was decent for the time, it still lagged behind competitors who were offering more powerful and refined engines. The engine, although capable, was not enough to excite buyers, especially in a decade where power and speed were becoming major selling points in the American market. The Commander wasn't known for thrilling acceleration or handling. The ride quality was often described as rough, with suspension systems that felt behind the times. This was especially noticeable when compared to the smoother rides offered by its competitors. By the mid-1950s, many automakers were introducing new innovations and features like power steering, power brakes, automatic transmissions, and even air conditioning in their vehicles. The Studebaker Commander lacked many of these modern conveniences, which made it feel outdated and less competitive. While the Commander was available with both manual and automatic transmissions, the Studebaker automatic drive transmission was known for being less refined than the automatic gearboxes offered by Ford and General Motors. The 1955 Commander was plagued by reliability issues, especially as Studebaker's financial troubles resulted in cost-cutting measures that negatively impacted the build quality of their vehicles. Many owners reported issues with mechanical components, particularly in the engine and transmission. These problems affected the overall longevity of the vehicle and added to its reputation for unreliability. Another common issue with the Commander was rust, which affected the car's durability. This was particularly problematic for vehicles in regions with harsh winters or high humidity. By 1955, Studebaker was already in significant financial distress. This pressure resulted in cost-cutting measures that affected the quality of materials and the level of attention to detail in the production of their vehicles. The Commander suffered as a result, with a fit and finish that didn't match that of competitors. With fewer resources to invest in research and development, Studebaker was unable to keep up with the advancements being made by larger automakers. The lack of innovation in the Commander, both in terms of design and mechanical features, made it seem like a relic of a bygone era. The 1955 Studebaker Commander was competing in a crowded market segment dominated by the Big Three automakers, all of which were introducing fresh, stylish, and powerful cars to the American public. Studebaker's relatively smaller size and lack of resources meant that the Commander had little chance to stand out. By this point, Studebaker's market share was shrinking, and the Commander did little to reverse the company's fortunes. Sales were weak, and Studebaker would continue to struggle until it ultimately ceased production in the US in the mid-1960s. The 1955 Studebaker Commander suffered from being a product of a struggling company that couldn't keep up with the industry's rapid pace of innovation. While it had a competent V8 engine, it lacked the performance, modern features, and stylish design necessary to compete in the booming post-war American auto market. Its mechanical and reliability issues only added to its woes, leading to the Commander becoming a largely forgotten model in Studebaker's history. Ultimately, the 1955 Commander is remembered more as a symbol of Studebaker's decline than for any significant contributions to the automotive world. Number 12. The 1955 Mercury Montclair was introduced as the flagship model of Mercury's lineup, intended to offer a mix of luxury, style, and performance. At first glance, it seemed like a solid contender in the mid-range luxury market, boasting impressive chrome trim and distinct styling. However, beneath its flashy exterior, the Montclair suffered from significant issues that compromised its overall performance and appeal. The Montclair was a large, heavy car with an overabundance of chrome trim, which was typical for the mid-1950s. While the design was intended to convey a sense of luxury and prestige, the excessive use of chrome and the overall bulkiness of the car gave it an unnecessarily heavy appearance. The Montclair's size contributed to its poor handling and sluggish performance. Weighing in at nearly 4,000 pounds, the car was much heavier than many of its competitors, and this directly impacted its acceleration, braking, and overall driving experience. The boxy design of the car didn't help with aerodynamics, which worsened fuel efficiency and made the car harder to maneuver. Its large size made it a challenge to drive and park, particularly in urban settings. The 1955 Montclair was equipped with a 292 cubic inch V8 engine producing 188 horsepower. While this seemed adequate on paper, the engine struggled to compensate for the car's hefty weight, leading to sluggish acceleration. The heavy body made it difficult for the engine to deliver any real sense of performance. Acceleration was slow, and the Montclair was known for having trouble maintaining power on inclines or during quick maneuvers, which made it feel underpowered compared to other luxury models from that era. In addition to its slow acceleration, the Montclair was notorious for its lackluster handling. The suspension system, which was supposed to provide a comfortable ride, did so at the expense of precise steering and control. This was a significant drawback, especially as other automakers were beginning to focus on better ride dynamics and more responsive handling. Despite being positioned as a luxury model, the Montclair had a relatively basic suspension system and drum brakes, which didn't live up to its size and weight. These systems were ill-equipped to handle the car's heft, leading to a rougher ride and longer stopping distances. Although the Montclair was available with an optional Mercomatic automatic transmission, it wasn't as refined as the automatic transmissions offered by other manufacturers like General Motors. Shifts were often jerky, and the overall driving experience was not as smooth as one would expect from a premium model. While the Montclair was marketed as a high-end vehicle, its luxury features were largely superficial. The interior, though dressed up with chrome accents and stylish upholstery, didn't offer the advanced features or comfort that luxury buyers were beginning to expect. Power windows, air conditioning, and other modern conveniences were either absent or offered only as expensive add-ons. By 1955, competitors like Cadillac and Chrysler were offering vehicles with better luxury amenities and more advanced technology. The Montclair, by comparison, felt like an attempt to replicate the prestige of more successful luxury cars without fully delivering on the performance, technology, or build quality. As a heavy car with a struggling engine, the Montclair's fuel efficiency was poor. At a time when fuel economy was becoming more of a consideration for buyers, the Montclair's thirst for gasoline was another strike against it. While fuel consumption wasn't the primary concern for most 1950s luxury car buyers, the Montclair's poor fuel economy added to the already long list of drawbacks. It guzzled fuel at a higher rate than many of its rivals, which made it an even tougher sell in the market. The 1955 Mercury Montclair had to compete in a crowded mid-tier luxury market, going up against popular models like the Buick Roadmaster, Cadillac Series 62, and Chrysler New Yorker. These vehicles offered more power, better handling, and a smoother ride. Additionally, Mercury's reputation for being a middle-tier brand rather than a premium one hurt its positioning among wealthier buyers. While the Montclair did sell reasonably well in its first year, it struggled to maintain momentum, particularly as more refined and powerful models were introduced by its competitors. Buyers looking for true luxury and performance were more inclined to opt for higher-end brands, and those seeking value found more affordable, better-performing cars elsewhere. The 1955 Mercury Montclair was a case of style over substance. While it may have looked the part of a luxury car, its heavy weight, sluggish performance, poor handling, and outdated technology held it back from being a truly competitive model. It was an example of how the mid-1950s obsession with chrome and bulkiness didn't always translate into an enjoyable driving experience. Number 11. The 1955 Nash Metropolitan was an oddball in the American automotive market. Designed as a compact, affordable car, it was aimed at budget-conscious buyers and marketed as a second car for families. Though it had a quirky charm, the Metropolitan faced numerous issues that made it a poor fit for the American driving environment. The Nash Metropolitan was much smaller than most American cars of its era, measuring only about 149.5 inches in length. Its compact size made it feel out of place on highways crowded with massive sedans, coupes, and station wagons that dominated the 1950s. The Metropolitan's tiny footprint made it feel unsafe and impractical on larger highways. Its small stature and lightweight body didn't inspire confidence for drivers, especially when sharing the road with full-size American cars. While the car's exterior was designed to be compact, the interior followed suit. The two-seat layout offered little room for passengers or cargo. With limited headroom, legroom, and minimal trunk space, it was ill-suited for anything more than short city commutes. The 1955 Nash Metropolitan was equipped with a small 1.5-liter, four-cylinder engine, producing only 42 horsepower. This paltry amount of power made the car feel sluggish and underpowered, especially when trying to merge onto highways or drive at higher speeds. With such a low output, the Metropolitan struggled to keep up with the flow of traffic, particularly on the open road. It had a top speed of around 70 miles per hour, but reaching that speed took time and effort, making it feel unsafe on highways where larger, more powerful cars were driving much faster. The Metropolitan's acceleration was abysmal by American standards. Going from 0 to 60 miles per hour took around 30 seconds, making it a frustrating and sluggish vehicle to drive in situations requiring quick acceleration, like highway on-ramps or passing slower vehicles. The Metropolitan's size, power, and handling made it poorly suited for long-distance trips. It lacked the comfort, speed, and stability needed for highway cruising, a major drawback in a country with vast stretches of road. The car's small wheelbase and lightweight contributed to a bouncy, uncomfortable ride on rough or uneven roads. The suspension system was basic and did little to smooth out the driving experience, making the car less enjoyable over long drives. The Metropolitan's steering and suspension were adequate for low-speed city driving, but at higher speeds the car felt unstable. The lightweight design meant that it was more prone to being pushed around by strong winds or the slipstreams of larger vehicles, further diminishing its highway practicality. The interior of the Nash Metropolitan was small and cramped. It was marketed as a second car for short trips around town, but its lack of room for passengers and cargo made it impractical for families or anyone needing to carry more than one passenger or small items. The trunk was tiny, making it difficult to store more than a few bags or groceries. The lack of space was a deal-breaker for many potential buyers, especially in an era when larger cars with spacious trunks were the norm. The car didn't come with many creature comforts. Power windows, air conditioning, and other luxury features available in larger American cars were absent in the Metropolitan, further limiting its appeal. The Nash Metropolitan was built to be inexpensive, but this came at the cost of quality. The materials used in its construction felt cheap and flimsy compared to more substantial American cars, contributing to a general sense of fragility. In the 1950s, safety features were not as advanced as they would become later on. The small size and lightweight body of the Metropolitan made it feel vulnerable in the event of an accident. Without crumple zones, airbags, or even a robust frame, drivers were at a disadvantage in collisions with larger, heavier cars. The Nash Metropolitan had a quirky, European-inspired design, which helped it stand out visually. However, this quirkiness didn't translate into widespread appeal, especially in a market dominated by larger, more powerful vehicles. The car's diminutive size and underwhelming performance made it a niche product at best. While it may have been cute or charming to some, the lack of practicality limited its broader market appeal. It wasn't a car that suited the average American driver, who was used to larger, more powerful vehicles capable of long-distance travel and hauling larger loads. The 1955 Nash Metropolitan was an oddball in the American automotive scene, suffering from serious issues that limited its practicality. Its small size, underpowered engine, and cramped interior made it ill-suited for American highways and the needs of most drivers in the 1950s. While it had some quirky charm and was marketed as an affordable, fuel-efficient second car, it failed to offer the comfort, performance, or versatility that American buyers expected. Number 10. The 1955 Hudson Wasp was one of the final models produced by Hudson before the brand's merger with Nash Kelvinator to form American Motors Corporation, AMC. By 1955, the Wasp was outdated and unable to compete with the more modern designs and performance of other American sedans. The car was bulky, underpowered, and suffered from the declining reputation of the Hudson brand. Its fate was sealed as it failed to capture the attention of buyers who were looking for better performing and more stylish vehicles in the booming mid-1950s auto market. The Wasp's design felt like a relic from the early 1950s, carrying forward styling elements that had already begun to feel dated by 1955. The car had a heavy, bulky look that lacked the sleekness and modern lines of competitors like Chevrolet, Ford, and Chrysler, whose cars were embracing more streamlined, futuristic designs. The 1955 Hudson Wasp was a full-size sedan, but it failed to distinguish itself visually from other cars on the road. The car was boxy and had awkward proportions, with a tall roofline and a large front end that made it feel ponderous and inelegant. Hudson's famous step-down design, which had been revolutionary when introduced in 1948, was now old-fashioned. The Wasp didn't see significant updates to its bodywork, leaving it looking clunky and out of place compared to the sleeker, more modern American cars being produced by the mid-1950s. The 1955 Hudson Wasp came with a choice of two engines, but both were underwhelming by the standards of the time. The base engine was a 202 cubic inch inline-six, producing around 120 horsepower, which was inadequate for a car of its size and weight. The Wasp's engine struggled to provide enough power, making acceleration sluggish. The heavy body of the car, combined with the underpowered engine, resulted in poor performance, particularly in comparison to other mid-size sedans that offered more powerful V8 engines. While a Packard-sourced 320 cubic inch V8 producing around 208 horsepower was available as an option, it was still not enough to give the Wasp a competitive edge in performance. The V8 models were more expensive and didn't offer the kind of power needed to match the muscle and performance of cars from Ford or Chevrolet. The step-down chassis design, which lowered the car's center of gravity, had once been praised for improving handling and stability. However, by 1955, this design felt outdated, and the Wasp's handling was sluggish and unrefined. The car felt heavy and difficult to maneuver, particularly at higher speeds. The Wasp was criticized for its ride quality, which was not as smooth or comfortable as other cars in its class. The suspension system didn't do much to soften the experience of driving over rough roads, and the car felt less advanced compared to more refined and smoother handling vehicles like the 1955. The car's braking system was not particularly advanced for its time, and the heavy body of the Wasp made stopping distances longer than ideal. This added to the sense that the Wasp was an underperforming vehicle in terms of safety and modern engineering. By 1955, Hudson was a shadow of its former self. The quality of materials used in the Wasp had declined, and the brand's resources were stretched thin. The merger with Nash Kelvinator had resulted in a lack of investment in updating Hudson's models, leaving the Wasp feeling cheaply made and lacking the refinement of its competitors. Compared to other cars on the market in 1955, the Hudson Wasp was not well equipped. It lacked many of the modern features that buyers were beginning to expect in mid-range and premium vehicles such as power steering, power brakes, or advanced interior amenities like air conditioning. The interior of the Wasp was basic and uninspiring, offering little in the way of luxury or modern convenience. It didn't compete well with the plush interiors offered by competitors like Chrysler or Cadillac, and the car's design didn't appeal to buyers looking for comfort and modernity in a family sedan. The mid-1950s were a time of fierce competition in the American auto market, with brands like Chevrolet, Ford, and Chrysler producing increasingly powerful, stylish, and advanced cars. The Wasp couldn't keep up in terms of either performance or design, leaving it lagging behind its competitors in sales and desirability. At the same price point, buyers could opt for more modern and better-performing vehicles like the 1955 Chevrolet Bel Air or the Ford Fairlane, both of which offered more powerful engines, better handling, and more attractive styling. The Wasp simply didn't offer enough to lure buyers away from the more established and successful brands. The merger with Nash Kelvinator didn't help the Wasp's case either. Hudson's design and engineering teams were stretched thin, and the company lacked the resources to invest in significant. Number 9, the 1955 DeSoto Firedome was part of the larger Chrysler Corporation's lineup, positioned as a mid-range car beneath the more prestigious Chrysler models. By the mid-1950s, the Firedome was struggling to keep up with rapidly evolving trends in both design and performance. While DeSoto had some success in previous years, by 1955, its offerings were starting to feel outdated, and the Firedome was no exception. Its uninspired performance, lack of standout features, and dated styling made it a less attractive option compared to more modern vehicles from competitors like Chevrolet, Ford, and Oldsmobile. The Firedome was already beginning to look old-fashioned by 1955. DeSoto's design philosophy had lagged behind the more sleek and futuristic styles that were becoming popular in the 1950s. The Firedome still carried heavy, bulbous lines that lacked the sharpness and flair of newer designs seen on cars like the 1955 Chevrolet Bel Air or Ford Fairlane. Like many cars of the 1950s, the Firedome was heavy on chrome trim, but it didn't blend well with the overall design. The car came across as over-decorated without having a clear design identity, making it feel like a relic from the earlier part of the decade. The Firedome's proportions were bulky and less streamlined compared to competitors. Its long, boxy design gave it an old-fashioned, cumbersome appearance. While cars like the Bel Air were adopting more streamlined, futuristic shapes, the Firedome still carried elements that looked clunky and out of date. The 1955 DeSoto Firedome was powered by a 291 cubic inch Hemi Vis 8 engine, producing around 185 horsepower, which was respectable but not groundbreaking for the time. However, the car's size and weight hampered its performance, making it feel sluggish compared to other mid-priced sedans. Although the Firedome had a V8 engine, its acceleration was slow, particularly in comparison to the lighter, more powerful cars in the same class. The engine's power wasn't enough to overcome the car's heavy body, resulting in mediocre overall performance. The Firedome's handling was unremarkable, with a tendency to feel heavy and cumbersome on the road. Drivers often found it difficult to maneuver compared to more nimble competitors like the Oldsmobile 88 or the Ford Fairlane. The large body made the car challenging to navigate in tight spaces or at higher speeds. While DeSoto was positioned as a mid-range brand, the Firedome's interior didn't feel luxurious or particularly well-crafted. The materials used in the cabin were not as premium as those found in Chrysler's higher-end models or in competitors' mid-priced offerings. This lack of attention to interior detail made the Firedome feel less special. For a car that was supposed to compete with other mid-priced sedans, the Firedome didn't offer many innovative or exciting features. Buyers looking for modern conveniences like power steering or power brakes often found themselves disappointed. While some features were available as options, they weren't standard, making the car feel less value-packed than its rivals. The dashboard design was another area where the Firedome felt behind the times. Its layout was cluttered and less ergonomic than those seen in more forward-thinking designs of the era, and the use of materials in the dashboard construction didn't convey a sense of quality. The 1955 DeSoto Firedome had the unfortunate challenge of competing in a market that was filled with increasingly modern and exciting cars. At the same time, DeSoto was struggling with an identity crisis, caught between Chrysler's premium cars and Plymouth's more affordable models. The Fire Dome didn't have a clear market niche, leaving it overshadowed by more focused competitors. For the same price, buyers could opt for cars like the 1955 Chevrolet Bel Air or the Oldsmobile 88, both of which offered better styling, more powerful engine options, and a more compelling driving experience. The Fire Dome simply didn't have the allure or cutting-edge appeal to draw buyers away from these more successful models. By the mid-1950s, DeSoto was losing its place in the automotive world. Its brand image wasn't as clear as it had been in previous years, and this lack of a strong identity hurt the Fire Dome's ability to stand out in a crowded market. The brand itself would eventually be discontinued in 1961 due to shrinking sales and a lack of demand. The 1955 DeSoto Fire Dome was an uninspiring entry in an era of rapid automotive innovation. While it had some good attributes, such as a Hemi V8 engine, its dated design, mediocre performance, and lack of standout features made it a weak competitor in the mid-1950s market. Its failure to keep pace with more modern and stylish vehicles from brands like Chevrolet, Ford, and Oldsmobile ultimately led to its lack of success. DeSoto's declining identity and the Fire Dome's lack of innovation left it forgotten in the shadow of more exciting cars from the 1950s. Number 8. By the mid-1950s, Packard, a once revered luxury car brand, was struggling to stay afloat. The 1955 Packard Clipper was part of the company's last-ditch effort to remain competitive in the rapidly evolving American auto market. Unfortunately, the Clipper failed to capture the prestige Packard was known for. While the Clipper was intended to be a more affordable offering, it ended up highlighting many of the issues that were plaguing the brand: declining build quality, outdated engineering, and an overall lack of innovation. The Clipper's design reflected Packard's identity crisis. On one hand, it still carried some of the upscale, classic design elements that made Packard famous. But on the other, it failed to stand out amidst the bolder, more modern designs emerging from other brands like Cadillac and Lincoln. While Packard attempted to update the Clipper with more chrome and a sleeker body, the result was somewhat unrefined. The car looked bulky and lacked the sharp, futuristic lines of competitors. Instead of being bold or striking, it ended up looking bland and awkward. The Clipper's proportions were somewhat inconsistent, with an overly large front end that made the car look heavier than it actually was. This gave the car a cumbersome appearance, which didn't appeal to buyers looking for sleek, modern designs. The 1955 Clipper was equipped with a 320 cubic inch V8 engine, producing around 225 horsepower, but this wasn't enough to make the car feel powerful. Despite the V8 engine, its size and weight left it feeling sluggish and underpowered. Other cars in its class, like the Cadillac Series 62, offered more refined and powerful engines, leaving the Clipper trailing behind in terms of performance. Due to its hefty body and modest power output, the Clipper struggled with acceleration. It took more effort to get up to speed than competitors, making it less thrilling to drive. This was especially disappointing in a time when V8 engines were synonymous with power and performance. The ride quality was another area where the Clipper fell short. While it had an independent front suspension, the car's weight distribution and aging engineering made for a less than smooth driving experience. Buyers looking for the smooth, gliding luxury ride that Packard had once been known for were left disappointed. Packard's financial struggles were evident in the quality of the Clipper's construction. Materials used for the interior and exterior were often subpar, and assembly quality was inconsistent. This led to complaints about rattles, squeaks, and poorly aligned panels, a stark contrast to the reputation Packard had once held for producing high-quality, well-built luxury cars. The Clipper was also prone to reliability problems. The car's electrical system was known for being troublesome, and there were frequent reports of mechanical breakdowns. Packard's attempt to cut costs during production meant that some components didn't meet the high standards expected of luxury cars. Another major issue was premature rusting. The Clipper was notorious for rust problems, particularly in areas like the wheel wells and lower body panels. This further diminished the car's appeal, as buyers in the market for luxury sedans expected durability and longevity. The interior of the 1955 Clipper didn't live up to its luxury branding. While there were some nice touches, like chrome accents and leather options, the overall look and feel of the cabin felt dated and cheap compared to other luxury cars of the time. The dashboard design was cluttered, and the use of plastic and lower-quality materials gave the cabin a less premium feel. While Packard had once been known for its innovative luxury features, the 1955 Clipper didn't offer much to impress buyers. Compared to other high-end cars like the Cadillac Eldorado or Lincoln Continental, which offered power everything and advanced tech for the time, the Clipper's features felt sparse and out of touch with the expectations of buyers in the luxury market. The interior layout was also not as driver-friendly as competitors. The seating position was awkward, and controls weren't placed intuitively. In a segment where comfort and convenience were paramount, these issues hurt the Clipper's appeal. The 1955 Packard Clipper was a car that reflected the decline of one of America's great luxury car manufacturers. It was underpowered, suffered from poor build quality, and failed to offer the refinement or innovation expected in the mid-1950s luxury market. While Packard had once been a prestigious name in the automotive world, by 1955, the Clipper couldn't compete with the likes of Cadillac, Lincoln, or even mid-tier brands that offered more compelling alternatives. The Clipper's disappointing performance and lack of standout features hastened the brand's decline, and Packard's slow march towards eventual closure. Number 7. The 1955 Buick Super was part of Buick's lineup of full-size luxury cars, marketed as a comfortable, well-appointed vehicle for affluent buyers. Positioned between the more affordable Buick Special and the higher-end Buick Roadmaster, the Super was supposed to offer a blend of luxury, power, and elegance. However, despite its prestige and quality, the car faced several shortcomings that limited its appeal, even in an era where large, powerful vehicles dominated the American automotive landscape. The Super was plagued by excessive size, weight, sluggish handling, and subpar fuel efficiency, factors that ultimately tarnished its reputation. The 1955 Buick Super embodied the heavy chrome-laden design typical of the era. It had sweeping lines, an expansive chrome grille, and signature venti-ports, Buick's iconic portholes, on the front fenders. While this aesthetic was considered luxurious at the time, it lacked the modern, forward-thinking design language that would soon become popular in the late 1950s and early 1960s. The Super was a large, imposing vehicle, which some buyers viewed as a symbol of status and luxury. However, its bulk also worked against it. The design made the car look even heavier than it was, with large overhangs and a wide, boxy shape. In an era of ever larger vehicles, the Super did not stand out for innovation or style. Buick's liberal use of chrome accents was in line with the trends of the day, but it made the car look excessively flashy rather than refined. The large chrome grille, bumper, and trim felt over the top to some buyers, who preferred more understated luxury. As a result, the Super's design seemed out of sync with the elegance that some other luxury models achieved. The 1955 Buick Super weighed nearly 4,400 pounds, a considerable figure for a car of its class. Despite being equipped with a large 322 cubic inch Nailhead V8 engine producing 236 horsepower, the car struggled with performance due to its sheer size and weight. The Super's engine was technically capable, but it had to work hard to move the car's mass, resulting in sluggish acceleration. The car was slow off the line, especially when compared to lighter, more agile competitors. Buick Super was a vehicle built for comfort rather than performance, and it showed in its handling. The car had a soft suspension designed to smooth out rough roads, but this came at the cost of nimble handling. The Super felt floaty and disconnected from the road, which made it challenging to maneuver, especially in tight spaces or at higher speeds. The steering was also criticized for being too light and unresponsive. The size of the car made it difficult to handle in urban environments, and the steering feel only exacerbated the problem. The car lacked the precise handling and road feel of smaller, sportier vehicles. Even by the standards of the 1950s, an era not known for fuel efficiency, The 1955 Buick Super was a gas guzzler. With its large V8 engine and heavy body, the Super consumed vast amounts of fuel. Buyers in the luxury market expected large, powerful cars, but even so, the Super's fuel consumption stood out as especially poor. Estimates for the Super's fuel economy ranged from around 8 to 10 miles per gallon, which was poor even for the time. This made the car expensive to operate, especially as gasoline prices began to rise in the late 1950s and early 1960s. The car's poor fuel economy limited its appeal to buyers who were concerned about operating costs. While luxury buyers weren't as sensitive to gas prices as economy car buyers, the Super's inefficiency was a significant drawback. The 1955 Buick Super was a well-built car in terms of materials and craftsmanship, but its engineering was starting to feel dated by the mid-1950s. Buick's reliance on older technology and design philosophies meant that the Super wasn't as advanced as some of its competitors. Buick's Dynaflow automatic transmission, while smooth, was criticized for being inefficient and sapping power from the engine. This contributed to the Super's sluggish performance and lackluster fuel economy. Other luxury cars were starting to adopt more advanced transmissions that offered better efficiency and performance. While Buick had a reputation for building reliable cars, the Super had its share of mechanical problems. The car's electrical system was known to be troublesome, and there were frequent issues with the transmission and engine components. These problems were compounded by the complexity of the car's systems, which made repairs more expensive. The 1955 Buick Super was a luxurious but flawed car. While it offered comfort and style, its excessive size, poor handling, and low fuel efficiency made it a less than ideal choice even in the large car-dominated market of the 1950s. In a decade that saw rapid advancements in automotive technology and design, the Super felt like a relic of the past rather than a forward-thinking luxury vehicle. Number 6. The 1955 Ford Mainline was introduced as part of Ford's full-size car lineup, serving as the entry-level model aimed at budget-conscious buyers. While it was priced attractively to appeal to a wide audience, the Mainline fell short in several critical areas, making it less desirable compared to competitors in the market. Its lack of features, underwhelming performance, and basic design contributed to its reputation as a forgettable option in the 1950s automotive landscape. The Ford Mainline featured a conservative design that lacked the flair and excitement of some of its more stylish counterparts. While it was built on the same platform as the more upscale Ford Custom Line and Ford Fairlane, the Mainline's exterior was basic and lacked distinctive styling elements. The Mainline's boxy shape was typical of the era, but it did not stand out in a market filled with competitors that offered more aggressive and dynamic lines. The lack of chrome accents and distinguishing features made it look bland and forgettable. The color palette available for the Mainline was limited and conservative, further emphasizing its role as a budget model. This lack of customization options didn't resonate well with consumers looking for individuality in their vehicles. The 1955 Ford Mainline was equipped with a choice of engines, the most common being the 223 cubic inch inline-six that produced just 115 horsepower. While this engine was adequate for everyday driving, it was significantly underpowered compared to competitors that offered more robust options. The Mainline struggled to keep up with its peers in terms of acceleration and overall performance. The combination of its weight and underpowered engine meant that the car felt sluggish, particularly when loaded with passengers or cargo. The Mainline's handling was not particularly impressive, as it was designed primarily for comfort rather than sportiness. The steering was vague, and the suspension system was soft, leading to a floaty ride that lacked precision and responsiveness on the road. Inside, the 1955 Ford Mainline featured a very basic, no-frills interior that emphasized functionality over comfort or luxury. The materials used were inexpensive, with a predominance of hard plastics and minimal padding. The Mainline lacked many features that were becoming standard in competing models, such as a radio, upgraded upholstery, and even basic conveniences like armrests. Buyers looking for a comfortable ride with modern amenities were likely disappointed by the sparse offerings. While the Mainline could accommodate several passengers, the interior layout felt cramped. particularly in the rear seats. Taller passengers found the headroom lacking, which detracted from the overall comfort of the ride. The Ford mainline was up against a strong competition from other automakers that offered more appealing entry-level options. Chevrolet's equivalent, the 150, provided a better balance of performance and features. The Plymouth Savoy was another rival that offered a more modern design and better features for a similar price point. Buyers could find more value in the Savoy's superior styling and performance. The Dodge Coronet also provided a compelling alternative with its more powerful engine options and enhanced features, further diminishing the mainline's appeal in the market. While the 1955 Ford mainline was generally considered to be built with decent quality for its time, the materials used in its construction did not hold up well over the years. Many mainlines from this era suffered from rust and corrosion, particularly in regions with harsh climates. Some owners reported mechanical issues with the engine and transmission, particularly if the car was not well maintained. This added to the reputation of the mainline as a less reliable option compared to its competitors. The 1955 Ford mainline aimed to attract budget-conscious buyers with its affordability, but it fell short in several key areas. Its basic design, underpowered performance, and lack of amenities left it trailing behind competitors like the Chevrolet 150 and Plymouth Savoy. While the mainline served its purpose as an entry-level vehicle, it lacked the appeal and excitement that many consumers sought in the mid-1950s. The combination of a lackluster driving experience and an uninspired design ultimately relegated the mainline to the background in an era defined by style and performance. The 1955 Plymouth Savoy was positioned as an entry-level, full-size sedan aimed at budget-conscious consumers. While it offered a low price point and practicality, the Savoy fell short in several areas, leading to its perception as an uninspired and lackluster option in a competitive automotive landscape. The exterior design of the Savoy was relatively bland, lacking the visual flair that characterized many of its competitors. It featured a conservative, boxy shape that did little to attract attention in a market filled with more stylish offerings. While the 1955 Plymouth models included some chrome detailing, the Savoy's embellishments were minimal compared to the more upscale Plymouth Belvedere, which offered a more polished and glamorous look. The available color options were often muted and conservative, failing to inspire buyers looking for a vehicle that made a statement. The overall design felt utilitarian rather than exciting. The Savoy was typically equipped with a 230 cubic inch flathead, 6-cylinder engine, producing only about 110 horsepower. This lack of power translated to a performance that was generally uninspiring. With its modest engine output, the Savoy struggled to achieve decent acceleration, particularly when fully loaded with passengers or cargo. This left drivers feeling frustrated, especially when trying to merge onto highways or navigate busy streets. The suspension setup contributed to a ride that was soft but lacked precision. The steering was often described as vague, making it difficult to handle turns confidently. Many drivers felt that the car had a floaty feeling, detracting from the overall driving experience. Inside, the Savoy offered a no-frills interior that prioritized functionality over comfort and style. The materials used were often low quality, with hard plastics dominating the cabin. The Savoy lacked many features that were becoming standard in competing vehicles, such as a radio, improved upholstery, and other comforts. This absence of modern conveniences made it feel outdated and uninviting compared to its competitors. While it could seat 6 passengers, the cabin space felt cramped, particularly in the rear seats. Taller passengers found headroom to be limited, contributing to discomfort during longer rides. The Plymouth Savoy faced stiff competition from other automakers that offered more appealing entry-level sedans. The Ford mainline, while also basic, provided more performance options and a slightly better overall driving experience, making it a more attractive choice for budget-conscious buyers. The Chevrolet 150 emerged as a strong contender, boasting a more powerful engine lineup and a more appealing design. The 150's better performance and more attractive styling made it a favorite among consumers. Positioned between the Savoy and more upscale offerings, the Dodge Coronet provided better performance and features that appealed to a wider audience, further diminishing the Savoy's market presence. The overall build quality of the Savoy was adequate for its time, But like many vehicles of the era, it was prone to rust and deterioration, particularly if not well maintained. Some owners reported mechanical problems with the engine and transmission, particularly regarding the Flathead 6's reliability. This added to the Savoy's reputation as an uninspired choice that didn't hold up well over time. The 1955 Plymouth Savoy attempted to cater to budget-conscious consumers, but it ultimately fell short in key areas of design, performance, and overall appeal. With its uninspired styling, underwhelming engine options, and lack of modern features, the Savoy struggled to make a significant impact in the competitive market of the mid-1950s. While it served as a practical option for those seeking affordability, it lacked the excitement and innovation that many buyers were looking for during this transformative era in automotive history. The Savoy remains a reminder of how important performance and design are in shaping consumer preferences, especially in a crowded marketplace. The 1955 Dodge Royal was positioned as a full-size car within Dodge's lineup, aiming to compete in the mid-range market. However, it struggled to capture consumer interest due to its uninspiring performance, lack of distinctive styling, and perceived high price compared to the competition. The Dodge Royal featured a design that was largely forgettable and failed to make a lasting impression in a market teeming with more visually striking vehicles. While it had a classic full-size shape, the Royal's body lines were straight and simple, lacking the flair that characterized some of its competitors. The overall silhouette felt bulky rather than sleek, which was becoming less appealing as consumer tastes evolved. The use of chrome was limited compared to more stylish offerings from brands like Buick and Cadillac, making the Royal look plain and uninviting. The front grille and trim lacked the distinctive touches that could have set it apart from other cars on the road. The Dodge Royal was typically equipped with a 270 cubic inch V8 engine, producing around 190 horsepower. While this was adequate for its class, it was not enough to provide thrilling performance. Acceleration was sluggish compared to competitors, leading many drivers to feel that the Royal lacked the performance punch that should accompany its size. This was particularly noticeable when trying to merge onto highways or navigate hilly terrain. The Royal's steering and handling were described as vague, contributing to a driving experience that felt uninspired and disconnected. Drivers often found it difficult to gauge the car's responsiveness, making it less enjoyable to drive. Inside, the Royal offered a spacious cabin, but the interior materials and design felt dated and unrefined. The Royal lacked many features that were becoming standard in competing vehicles, such as modern radio options, better upholstery, and other comforts. This absence made the interior feel basic and uninviting. Although it had ample room for passengers, the seats were often criticized for being less comfortable than those found in competitors. This contributed to a less enjoyable driving experience, especially on longer trips. The Dodge Royal faced stiff competition from other automakers that offered more compelling packages in the same price range. The Ford Crown Victoria not only provided more powerful engine options, but also featured a more appealing design, making it a more desirable choice for consumers. The Bel Air was a clear standout with its vibrant styling, performance options, and a reputation for quality, attracting buyers who were willing to pay a little more for a better overall experience. Positioned as a sportier alternative, the Plymouth Fury offered a more engaging driving experience and stylish design, overshadowing the more subdued Royal. Many consumers felt that the Dodge Royal was overpriced for what it offered, especially when compared to more appealing alternatives. This perception hampered its sales and reputation. Buyers often found better performance and features in similarly priced models from other manufacturers, leading to a lack of interest in the Royal. This was particularly problematic as the automotive market shifted towards more stylish and performance-oriented vehicles. While the Royal was generally built to the standards of its time, it suffered from some reliability issues that detracted from its appeal. Owners reported occasional mechanical issues, particularly with the engine and transmission, which led to some dissatisfaction among drivers seeking a dependable vehicle. The 1955 Dodge Royal aimed to be a strong contender in the full-size market, but ultimately fell short in several critical areas. With its uninspired performance, basic design, and perceived overpricing, the Royal struggled to attract buyers in a competitive landscape filled with more exciting and innovative options. As consumer preferences shifted toward vehicles that combined style, performance, and value, the Royal became a less appealing choice, reflecting the challenges faced by Dodge during a transformative period in automotive history. The Royal serves as a reminder of the importance of not just offering a large car, but also delivering on performance and aesthetics to resonate with consumers. Number 3. The 1955 Cadillac Series 62 was part of Cadillac's effort to maintain its reputation as a premier luxury automaker during a time of significant competition and innovation in the automotive industry. However, the base model fell short of expectations, failing to deliver the excitement and advanced features that buyers anticipated from a brand synonymous with luxury. The Series 62 had a substantial and heavy appearance, which, while characteristic of luxury cars of the era, was considered excessive by some. Although the design included Cadillac's iconic tail fins and a prominent grille, the overall aesthetic was beginning to feel less contemporary compared to newer competitors. Some buyers perceived it as a relic from an earlier era rather than a forward-thinking luxury vehicle. In a decade marked by innovative design trends, the Series 62 was criticized for not having enough standout features to differentiate it from other cars in the luxury segment. The base model was powered by a 331 cubic inch V8 engine, producing around 230 horsepower. While this was respectable for many vehicles of the time, it was not enough to deliver the exhilarating performance expected from a Cadillac. The weight of the Series 62 contributed to sluggish acceleration, making it feel less responsive than expected, especially when compared to competitors offering more powerful engine options. The car's weight and size made it less agile, leading to cumbersome handling characteristics that were not aligned with the expectations of luxury car buyers who desired a more refined and controlled driving experience. The interior of the Series 62 featured high-quality materials and comfortable seating, but it was perceived as lacking the cutting-edge technology and amenities that buyers were starting to expect. The dashboard and controls were considered outdated, lacking the advanced instrumentation and features that were becoming increasingly common in 1958 competing luxury vehicles. While the Series 62 offered a spacious and comfortable cabin, it fell short in providing modern conveniences, such as power windows and air conditioning, which were being integrated into rival models. In the mid-1950s, Cadillac faced significant competition from other luxury brands that were pushing the envelope in terms of performance and technology. The Lincoln Premier offered a more engaging driving experience, with better handling and a more powerful engine option, attracting buyers looking for both luxury and performance. Known for its stylish design and innovative features, the New Yorker was able to capture the attention of consumers who were looking for a modern, luxury vehicle that felt contemporary and dynamic. The Imperial provided a compelling mix of luxury, performance, and advanced features, making it a strong competitor against the Series 62. The Series 62 was priced as a luxury vehicle, which made it hard for many consumers to justify the purchase when considering its performance and features. With competitors offering more powerful engines, innovative designs, and advanced technology at similar or lower price points, the Series 62 struggled to prove its value to potential buyers. While generally well-built, some owners reported issues with the mechanical reliability of the base series. 62 common complaints included issues with the electrical systems and drivetrain, leading to concerns about long-term reliability and maintenance costs. The 1955 Cadillac Series 62 base model aimed to uphold Cadillac's legacy of luxury, but ultimately fell short in several key areas. Its heavy design, lack of modern features, and sluggish performance left it feeling outdated in an era when buyers were seeking innovation and excitement in their vehicles. With a high price point and intense competition from other luxury brands, the Series 62 struggled to maintain its position as a top choice for discerning consumers. This model serves as a reminder of the challenges faced by luxury automakers in adapting to rapidly changing consumer expectations during a pivotal time in automotive history. The 1955 Chrysler Windsor was part of Chrysler's full-size car lineup, positioned as a more affordable alternative to its higher-end models like the Imperial. Despite its aspirations, the Windsor struggled to impress due to its outdated design, subpar performance, and inability to compete with more innovative competitors during a vibrant period in the automotive industry. The Windsor's design was characterized by its conservative lines and bulky proportions, which made it look outdated compared to newer models from other manufacturers that embraced more modern and bold styling. The overall styling lacked the flair and excitement that many consumers desired in the mid-1950s, particularly with competitors offering more dynamic and eye-catching designs. Elements such as the grille and tail fins, although classic for the era, did not feel fresh or innovative, which led to the Windsor being perceived as a relic of an earlier automotive age. The Windsor was equipped with a 250 cubic inch straight-six engine or an optional 291 cubic inch V8, producing only about 188 horsepower. This was considerably less powerful than competitors, making it feel sluggish and unresponsive. The performance was underwhelming, leading to disappointing acceleration that did not meet the expectations of consumers looking for a powerful full-size sedan. The Windsor's heavy body and soft suspension contributed to handling characteristics that felt cumbersome and uninspired, further detracting from the driving experience. The interior of the Windsor, while spacious, was criticized for its bland and utilitarian design, lacking the luxury and refinement expected in its price range. While it offered a comfortable ride, the Windsor was outfitted with fewer modern conveniences compared to competitors, such as power windows or advanced sound systems, making it feel less appealing to potential buyers. Many interiors featured low-quality materials that did not hold up well over time, contributing to a perception of cheapness compared to rivals. By 1955, the full-size car market was becoming increasingly competitive, with manufacturers like Ford, GM, and other brands releasing more powerful and stylish options. The Fairlane offered stylish design and strong performance options, capturing buyers' attention and leaving the Windsor feeling outdated. The Bel Air was not only known for its iconic design, but also offered a range of powerful engines, making it a top choice for many consumers, looking for both style and performance. With better handling, a more powerful engine lineup, and a more appealing design, the Buick Special presented a stronger alternative for buyers seeking a full-size sedan. Although the Windsor generally had decent build quality, some owners reported reliability issues, particularly with the engine and transmission. The combination of underwhelming engine performance and occasional mechanical failures made some owners question the long-term reliability of the vehicle. The 1955 Chrysler Windsor struggled to maintain relevance in a competitive automotive landscape marked by innovation and style. Its outdated design, weaker engine options, and bland interior contributed to its lackluster appeal. As buyers began to gravitate toward vehicles that offered more power and contemporary aesthetics, the Windsor became increasingly overlooked. This model stands as an example of how quickly automotive trends can shift, leaving once popular models behind in the wake of progress and consumer expectations. Number 1. The 1955 Chevrolet 150 was one of the entry-level models in Chevrolet's lineup during a pivotal year in automotive design and performance. Positioned as a no-frills option, the 150 was primarily aimed at budget-conscious consumers seeking basic transportation. However, its lack of features, styling, and performance led to it being remembered as one of the more forgettable cars of the era. The 150's design was functional but uninspired. It lacked the eye-catching details and character lines that define more stylish models, such as the Bel Air. The body featured a boxy shape with minimal ornamentation, making it appear bland compared to its more glamorous counterparts in the Chevrolet lineup. The color palette for the 150 was typically more subdued, offering less vibrancy than the brighter, more appealing colors available for higher-end models. The base engine was a 235 cubic inch inline-six, producing a modest 140 horsepower, which felt inadequate, especially as the automotive market was beginning to embrace more powerful V8 options. This engine struggled to deliver spirited performance, making the driving experience feel sluggish and uninspiring, particularly on highways where acceleration was needed. While buyers could upgrade to a V8, many were drawn to more exciting models with performance-focused engineering. The interior of the 150 was utilitarian, with hard plastics and basic cloth seating that lacked comfort and refinement. Features that were becoming standard in many cars, such as power windows, adjustable seats, or even an upgraded sound system, were notably absent. The design prioritized cost-saving measures over comfort, making the driving experience feel more like a chore than a pleasure. In a year marked by exciting new designs and powerful engines, the 150 struggled to compete against rivals that offered more flair and performance. The Ford mainline offered similar utility, but had a more appealing design, making it a more attractive option for buyers. The Plaza featured a stylish design and a range of engine options that provided a better balance of performance and economy. While the 150's simplicity meant fewer features to break, it also didn't inspire confidence in terms of long-term reliability compared to other Chevrolet models. The use of cost-cutting materials meant that while the car was functional, it often felt less durable than its competitors. The 1955 Chevrolet 150 represents an era of American automotive design that prioritized utility over excitement. Stripped of luxury and power, it served its purpose as a basic transportation option, but left little impression on the market. As buyers gravitated toward models that combined style with performance, the 150 faded into obscurity, remembered more for its practicality than any sense of enjoyment or innovation. This model stands as a reminder of how important it is for cars to balance functionality with a sense of fun and flair to capture consumer interest.